Stepping up to the couch, it's Brian, who led the league last season in cracked screens. But with his new athletic case, it looks like that won't be the case. Touchdown, Brian!
So for 3 of my past 4 videos, I have talked about the Warriors vs. Rockets series. I talked about Game 1 in my James Harden video. Watching the series made me imagine a world without Kevin Durant on the Warriors, so I made a video on that. And then 2 days later, the Warriors finished off the Rockets in Game 6, and I stayed up all night to make a video on the Rockets and their future. Needless to say, this series has given me a lot to talk about, hence there being 3 videos about the subject on the channel, and after this one it will be 4. Because as you can tell from the title, this video is about Chris Paul and whether or not the Houston Rockets made a mistake by trading for him. Because based off of the money that the Rockets gave Paul, the way that he performed versus the Golden State Warriors, and the way that the players that were traded for him performed versus the Golden State Warriors, it seems like trading for CP3 might have been a mistake.
Rebound. Save. Absolutely incredibly. With the acrobatic alley-oop.
Now, before I get this comment, though, I'm sure I will still get this comment because what kind of nerd watches a video before commenting, right? Yes, B-Ball Breakdown made a video titled, "Was the Chris Paul trade a mistake?" However, that was really an idea that was merely mentioned at the end of the video because like any video by Coach Nick, it was mostly a breakdown of footage from Game 6. It was not an in-depth discussion about the Chris Paul trade. So with that out of the way, let's look at what CP3 averaged this year. After getting paid big money, which we will get into in a minute, Chris Paul this season, in the 58 games that he played, averaged 15.6 points, 8.2 assists, 4.6 rebounds, 2 steals, and he shot 42% from the field and 36% from 3. 15.6 points is a career low for Paul, 8.2 assists is the 3rd lowest in his career, 42% from the field is the worst of his career, and 36% from 3 is the 4th worst in his career, with 2 of the 3 seasons where he shot worse being the first 2 years of his career. With everything taken into consideration, this is the worst season that Chris Paul has ever played, and it is coincidentally also the highest he has ever been paid for a season. He was paid $35.6 million for the worst production of his career. To put that into perspective, there are only 3 players in the NBA making the same amount or more than Chris Paul: Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, and Stephen Curry. While there are guys like Paul George, Kevin Durant, Giannis, Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis, and his own teammate James Harden making 5 to 10 million less a year, Chris Paul is being paid more than all but 2 of the top 10 players in the NBA to put up 15 and 8 on okay efficiency. So now that we know that, let's talk about the players that were traded for Chris Paul. The Rockets, in a sign-in trade, and remember that, it was a sign-in trade, sent over Lou Williams, Patrick Beverley, Sam Dekker, Montrezl Harrell, and a 1st-round pick. Since the trade, Lou Williams has had the best 2 years of his career back-to-back, averaging 21 and 5 on 53% shooting for the past 2 seasons for the Clippers, and Montrezl Harrell averaged 11 and 4 in 2017 and 16 and 6 and 1 block a game this year, shooting 60% both times. And finally, we have Patrick Beverley. Now, I can't use a statistical argument for Patrick Beverley, but that's because Patrick has never been a box score guy. But Beverley was very much the heart and soul of this year's Clippers team, who, as an 8th seed, took the Warriors to 6 games. And Beverley legitimately bothered Kevin Durant, arguably the best scorer of all time, who is a foot taller than Bev. He is the best defensive point guard in the NBA, and on the other end of the court, he's a very good spot-up shooter and solid playmaker. He shot 40% from 3 this year while averaging 4 assists per game. Oh, and these 3 combined make $19 million a year, nearly half of what Paul makes. So now I want you to imagine what the Rockets would look like had this trade never gone down. The Rockets starting lineup would probably be Beverley, Gordon, Harden, Tucker, and Capella, with Lou Will and Harrell off of the bench. Anytime the Rockets had to go to their bench versus the Warriors, it was terrible. They legitimately were giving Gerald Green 20 minutes a game and he was playing in crunch time. That's fucking awful. Now imagine 2 of the best best and probably the best sixth man of all time coming off of the bench together. And when Capella struggles in this series, you can sub him out for a player in Harrell who scores just as well, probably even better in a one-on-one situation, and Harrell defends the perimeter significantly better than Capella. That was a huge problem for Clint Capella in this series. Montrezl Harrell is pretty damn good at defending the perimeter at his position because of his size and speed. Now, am I blaming Chris Paul for declining? No, the man's getting old and you can't really blame him for that. And I have firmly held this position and always will hold this position. Bad contracts are the fault of the front office, not the player. It's really damn stupid to blame a player for the money they make, because they didn't offer themselves that contract. That was a mistake made by the front office, and that's who you should be mad at. Can't blame them for taking the money when it's offered to them. So who I am blaming is Daryl Morey. Trading a significant amount of talent to the Clippers in a sign-in trade was completely moronic. Also, people keep saying that I look like Daryl Morey's potential son, and I don't appreciate that shit, so fuck Daryl Morey. Basically, the Rockets done messed up. That's the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.